Hello, I'm Denise Lanman, your host for Chamber Chat, and joining me in this episode is Jeanne Rush from The Secret Ingredient. Thank you for being here today, Jeanne.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Denise.
We have a lot of things that are exciting that are happening, and you are the center of that excitement. So I just want you to share some of the things that you have going on.
Well, it's amazing, but we have gotten to our 35th anniversary this year, and it's just a wow, because I have to laugh because when I worked for Julian's back, oh gosh, in the 70s, he had been in business 33 years, and I remember thinking, how could anybody do this for 33 years? And here I am, 35, and it just seems like yesterday. You know, if I had to guess, I'd say, it's probably been a good 20 years or so. So it's flown by. It's been wonderful. I guess when you love what you do, it goes quickly.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's true. It makes it easy.
It does.
So you had a couple events that were showcased this year, and I think the first one had something to do with high school students.
Well, I guess I was thinking, how do we celebrate our 35th, and how do we give back to the community? That was my prime goal, was to do something in a thank you to all the customers that have shopped with us the 35 years, for the town for supporting us. And I had started at a very young age, at 15, on a high school board in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And the woman that was my boss, she just always delegated so much responsibility to me at such a young age. And I felt like that was a true key to where I am today. Huge thank you to her, Marianne Jeffries, because she really never ever questioned my age. It was more about just what I could do, and she felt like I could do. So
and you did it, didn't you?
I did, and I loved it. And I went to college for fashion merchandising, and from that point forward, I always knew what I wanted to do with my life. And it was such a great thing, because I was kind of busy in high school. I belonged to a lot of organizations, and I had no clue what I really wanted to do long term with my career. So this was kind of an answer. So I thought, there's so much talent around, and I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do a design contest with students and have them design something that's maybe wearable and saleable for The Secret Ingredient. But with that, I thought not only could we open it to the Wayne County students and maybe just to juniors and seniors, I thought maybe would be a good way to possibly start. I really felt like, maybe it'd be fun to tie it in with Project Runway. And I really wasn't thinking anything more than, what form of material will I have them use for this contest? I thought, we could do recyclables. We could, we could come up with lots of different things. Obviously, just ideas from the show, because I wanted it to be a product that they all were doing and working with. One of the things that I thought was, how do I know that just because you can draw and design something doesn't necessarily mean that you can sew something. Right. So there were so many different aspects of this competition. And I was talking to a dear friend of mine who, actually, we've been in retail together for 40-some years. And we both were at Ayers together. And she said to me on a business trip, because she has a store out in California, she said, well, maybe, what you should do is get Richard Hallmark. And she said, from Project Runway. And I said, oh, well, I don't know that he's going to come to Richmond, Indiana. And she said, yeah, he will. And I said, well, then get him on the phone. Let's call him and see. So he walked into her store one day before he was on Project Runway, and he was designing clothes then, and he wanted her to purchase his line, which she did. So they got to be good friends. And of course, after Project Runway, they continued to do business together. And she called him and said, you need to talk to Jeanne. She's doing this thing for the high schools in Wayne County, and I really think it would be a great tie-in with your line. So in the interim, having those two things kind of on board, I got a letter from Sean Dingworth at the Richmond Art Museum. And he writes me and he says, can we be your nonprofit organization this year to get the benefits of the butterfly release? So I thought to myself, yeah, I think he can be. And in my mind, I was saying this, and I was also thinking, that's what I need to do. I need to have them design something that's been art inspired. So I called him and said to him, I would love for you to be my nonprofit, but I want you to do more for me. You know, with this is going to come a little bit more than just a check for the butterflies. I want to do this student runway show. I've got Richard Hallmark coming in from Project Runway. I think we should do something that's inspiring the students with a famous art painting or sculpture. And I would love to do the finale, the grand prize, which I will give $3,500 in scholarship money. I'd love to do it right here at the Art Museum. So he said, oh, that would be fantastic. He has been so great. Lance, Joshua, all the guys there at the Art Museum are just phenomenal to work with. So that was just a joy.
Well, it sounds like all the pieces just kind of fell in place for this. So you know that it was a good idea before it even wrapped up.
It did from the idea standpoint. The next challenge, which I didn't realize was going to be so challenging, was to get the students on board. So I contacted all the high schools, the principals, and asked them who should we work with. And honestly, that was the most difficult part. Again, I think, I don't know why, but I feel like, again, maybe it was the fact that I've never sewn before. Yes, I love fashion. Yes, I love the art part. Yes, I love sewing, but not the art part. There were so many things and talents involved in this contest that I was like, I think I wish now that I could have been able to go into the schools and actually maybe had a chance to talk to the students so that maybe we would have even gotten more students in. But I was very pleased with where we ended up. So they had to fill out a form that had to be to me by a certain time, telling me who they were, what high school they were from. And then I proceeded to give them, all the dates of when they had to have certain things in, the drawings first, then their fabrics, and I gave them a $100 budget because I didn't want anybody to feel like I can't do this because of economic reasons. So I said, you have a $100 check from me, or up to a $100 check from me for any fabrics that you are going to be using. I will personally get you a pair of shoes if you make it to the finals, and I will get you your jewelry from the secret ingredient. I didn't give them the jewelry to keep, but I did give them the shoes and obviously their cost for investing in the event.
Wow, that was very supportive of you and encouraging. So these students were given an opportunity that most communities don't have.
Well, and you know what, again, the talent is so amazing. A few of them had kind of wanted to pick the same painting. That was kind of funny. I had 3 or 4 of them wanting the same art piece. And I thought, does that art piece hang in every high school or something? I was like, where did they, all high, zip in on the Starry, Starry Night from Van Gogh. So I had to kind of say, no, we can only have one of those, and we need to pick some other art. And it kind of got them out of their box, maybe, too, thinking about what they wanted to do. But on that night, maybe I'll kind of jump into when we actually, on 9/11, when they were to present their outfit, Marty Johnson was there from Hello Beautiful, and he and his staff did their hair and their makeup. And of course, like I say, we had the shoes and the jewelry, and they all were winners. I mean, all 7 of them. There were 7 finalists.
Nice.
And it was great. It was
so just as they all wore their creations too, correct?
Well, I told them they needed to get a model, and then all of a sudden people were calling me saying, can I be my model? And I kind of was like, I don't know if I should do that. And then I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, of course they should be their model, because then they personally can own that outfit and enjoy that outfit after the event. There was one girl that chose not to be her model, and she had her sister model it.
Oh, that was neat.
Yeah, it was. It was very cool. So she's up at Ball State. So she came down from Ball State that night, and she was in the pageant. And I did feel bad. I left her name out of the program. I forgot. I just kind of had the students with their art and their little bio, and I forgot to put down that, you know, one of them was modeling for her sister. But I kind of left Richard Hallmark. He flew in. This was kind of a cool story. When I gave him the date, he said no problem. He said he was going to have to be in New York that week because of spring 2015 Fashion Week, and he would be doing his runway show in New York. Well, his show was on Tuesday night, and he was flying here on Wednesday.
Oh, no.
So I thought, oh, I feel bad putting him under such pressure, and I felt bad. He said he'd come in on Thursday, and I said, oh, you know what? I really would love for you to come in on Wednesday so that I can feel kind of relieved that you're here, number one, and make sure you're here, and then number two, I would love to turn the show over to you. I would really love for these students, I've worked with them now for quite a few weeks and getting their, I was kind of like the Tim Gunn on the show where I'd say, no, you can't do that. Yes, you can. Let's tweak this. Let's up it a little bit. Let's, just change it and make it look a little bit more runway worthy, put the zing in it. So I really wanted to turn it then to him, and I didn't want him to see what they were going to be wearing that night because he was the head judge, but I actually wanted him to work with the girls on stage, really be able to learn from him, talk to him, and really have that access to an actual designer that they would never be able to possibly at such a young age. So he was such a huge help, and he really did such an outstanding job.
It's pretty amazing that we had those people here in Richmond.
I know, I said, I think the greatest part I loved was, coming from New York City to Richmond, Indiana. So, and that's exactly how it went. He presented then, I got him models, and we presented the show that he presented in New York on Tuesday night, on Thursday night here. So it was hard finding, he usually works with models that are size 2, and
that's why you didn't call me.
Well, I tell you what, it's like, okay. So I was Paula K. King from, K96 and 101.7. She said, okay, I said, you need to model, and we'll get some of the girls that you know, and then I had some other models that I knew.
Okay.
So he said, Marty did the most amazing job. He said the hair and the makeup was just as good, if not better, than New York City, and he loved the models I got. So that whole night was really about Richard Hallmark. So it was grand.
That's really neat. So can you share with us who won?
Yes.
Who received the scholarship?
Well, should I start at number 3?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So in third place was Hannah Russell, and she's a student from Centerville High School, and she won $500 scholarship from us. And actually, her grandmother modeled for me when I first opened, which was kind of funny. Her son.
Oh, that is fun.
Her dad came up to me afterwards and said, "Do you remember?" And I said, "Sure, I knew that." So, and then Alexa, who goes by Lexi Bain, she came in second place, and she won the $1,000 scholarship, and she's from Northeastern High School. And then we have Naima Gray from she's homeschooled, and it's called South Bay Academy, and she got the $2,000 scholarship. And she actually, her and her sister were both in the scholarship contest, and they had just moved here 2 years ago from California. So that was very exciting. And actually, I have to say, Miss Shirley from the Richmond Boys and Girls Club she was the one that was instrumental in getting these girls involved.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that is truly amazing. And to know that we have this kind of talent here, and that it's recognized by other people now because of what you've done.
Well, if nothing else, I just hope I inspire them to do whatever they want to do in their future, whether it be fashion or just keeping that talent alive in their lives.
Yeah, that's neat. Earlier, you mentioned something about a butterfly release.
Well, every year, since my mother passed away, it'll be 9 years this October, October 9th. My mother was always just a firm believer in, there's so much good done from giving. Yes. More than getting. And I just felt like I wanted to keep that whole ambiance alive and in her name. And so that's why I started the Butterfly Release 8 years ago. And every year I pick a nonprofit group and I charge $20 for each butterfly. I pay for the butterflies, and the check gets made out to whichever nonprofit group that we're working for.
So that's what tied in the Richmond Art Museum with your butterfly release, and then pulled in the Project Runway event. So that is really neat.
Yeah, it really, I mean, it was meant to be. Thank you, Sean, for your dear letter. And, this year, it was funny because we were getting so close. Usually, I think the largest amount of money that we've ever given away is about $2,600. And this year, with our 35th, of course, we had a lot of people coming on board wanting to be a part of it because of our 35th. And of course we had a lot of wonderful free publicity, not only from the radio stations but from the Palladium items. So and of course the Chamber of Commerce, but also I felt like there was just a lot of people, like I say, past employees that came back for the event and everything. So we got really close to the $3,500 when I was wanting to make the check. Rhonda at Augustine Printers was doing the check for me, not only the scholarship big checks, but I said, let's do a big one, for the art museum this year, because a lot of times I just make it myself and have an exact amount. So I said, we're getting really close to $3,500. Let's just go ahead and make it $3,500. If I have to throw a few more extra dollars in, I will. And actually, we have gone over that amount. So we're close to probably 36 at this point.
Nice, nice. And of course, they can use that money
Absolutely.
As every non-profit person can. But that is something that the community is focusing on, is art anyway. So having that as your person who received that is really cool. So when you're talking about the 35 years, you reached your $3,500 to give and passed, but 35 years catapulted something else that you did for our community. When Bill Armstrong was retiring, we kind of had a deal because our stairwell joins our two buildings. So on each side, 720 and 724, there's a stairwell that goes upstairs, and it connects apartments. So long term, for it to be valuable to anybody, it needed to be together. So we had a deal, whoever retires first will give the first option to the other person to buy. So I bought the building 2 years ago, never was able to put anybody in that. I had run a creative lease saying 1 free year rent, and I would be creative with, working with that person. I had people call me, I had people talk to me, but I think during the recession it was very difficult to get somebody to rent that location. And I was just one night working in the store late, and I was thinking to myself, if 1 year doesn't work, I wonder if 3 years would work. And I thought, why don't I just give the building away for 35 months? Let's try doing something that, I think would intrigue somebody. So I called Amy Holdhouse and said, would you do this with me? I said, I don't want to do this alone, but I would love to run an essay contest for our 35th anniversary. And they need to write an essay about why they want to be my neighbor and also why they want a business in downtown Richmond. Let's get this downtown Richmond rocking and rolling again. I said they've done such a beautiful job over in the depot, and there's no reason why we can't do the same thing in the downtown area. And I know that, I've got my sort of a lot of things going on with 4 stores and my dear father that's 94 years young and my dear family, and there's only so much I can do, and I feel like I've kind of pulled back from getting extremely involved downtown, and I thought, oh, what the heck, let's just really throw them a big fish and see whether we can catch something that will really bring some excitement to downtown and maybe inspire some other owners of buildings to maybe help me long term get this thing going downtown and getting some tenants that are really strong tenants into the neighborhood. And of course Veach is being always our neighbor and a wonderful neighbor, and all their excitement that they had for their 75th. It's just been really fun. So anyway, I ran the contest, and I have to say, the essays came in very slow. They came in very, very slow. I was a little disappointed in the beginning. I thought, oh gosh, I hope I find somebody that I actually really want as my neighbor. And at the end, oh my gosh, they just kept flying in and coming in, and they had them hooked on the door the night before they were the end of the contest, and one shoved under the door, and people were calling me and people were emailing me. I ended up with essays from as far as New York. Oh my goodness.
I had a couple that I still would love to get into downtown Richmond that have a wonderful idea of what, and they just want to come back to Richmond. He's from Richmond, she's from England, and they want to bring this idea to Richmond, and I think it's a wonderful idea. I just didn't think that it was maybe the perfect idea for my size of building. I had 1,900 square feet, and I felt like they could use a bigger space to do what they wanted to do. There were other I got to a point where I had narrowed it down to 6 people that I loved, and Amy and I sat down and we interviewed those people, and it was really difficult. It really was. But the girl that I ended up choosing after the butterfly release is Retta Lewis, and she is from Fremont, Indiana. And she has a really unique idea, and I think that's what sold me on it. Everything in her store is not only made in the USA, but it's made in Indiana. And
really?
Yes.
I hadn't been told that yet.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is real interesting.
Yeah, so I thought, everybody's wanting so much to buy things that are made in the United States. Her things are beautiful. They are all done by artisan Amish people up in northern Indiana, and she's got a crew that she works with, and they don't make their designs, they make her designs. So I'm sure that if you've been in Amish stores before, it's very simplified furniture.
Yes.
And she gives them ideas, even like out of the Ballard furniture catalog. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's kind of a high-end, really beautiful catalog. And certain things they will design, and she just gives them ideas. They may take an old barn door, use that as the top of the table, and then everything else is totally brand new underneath that she's created. Rugs, other gifts and accessory items, but it's just a great little store. And her manager is going to be moving here to Richmond, Indiana, and he's been working with her in the store up in Fremont, and she's already, I think yesterday I was out of town, but she was, I think, in the store measuring and had somebody already in there to do some work. So,
and I think she plans on opening. She's given you a date that she is her goal for opening, which is that November 1st?
Well, she was hoping to be open in October, so we'll kind of see how that works. But I started the lease as of October 1st, just to be fair to her. I mean, she still can obviously be there. We've gotten everything out from our luncheon that we had in there, and Ginger Gray recreated it into a jewel box that was magnificent, and we had everyone in there. So it was kind of cool because we had the luncheon there, we had the reception there, so people really got to see the store, and see what I was giving away if they hadn't been in Kings for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, the whole thing just kind of came together. It's kind of magically came together, to be honest. It was beautiful, and I feel very blessed to not only have great customers, but have a great community that's, like I say, supported everything.
So you gave 35 months free rent. I know that the chamber gave
Lots of great things. I feel bad I didn't bring that list with me, but we will have a sign up to $350 given. Actually, I say that now. I think they raised it to maybe $600, and I apologize. I don't have that exact figure in front of me. But they're giving a chamber chat, like we're doing here, and also the Palladium item is giving free advertising. The K96 and 101.7, they are giving free advertising on their radio station and interview.
So there was a lot of support behind this.
Right.
From the community.
The chamber is giving a free membership, a year membership to, and of course, I firmly believe in that, having been a member for 35 years. So, there was total, I'm sure if I would have worked on it, I probably could have gotten more gifts for the tenant, but I just felt like I had to stop and get it down and get it written so that we could get the essays in.
That's really neat. So, it shows that the community's behind not only you, but definitely the downtown and the Richmond area and the community surrounding it. And to have a new exciting store like that is going to bring that excitement. Of course, it's exciting now, but to keep adding stores and the possibility of maybe some of the other essay submissions also coming to downtown is really, really an exciting thing. And You just kind of set the bar there, Jeannie.
Well, we hope so. And I've made some phone calls, Denise, and I've asked, some of the realtors, the commercial end of the city, to maybe help me find those landlords that really, hopefully will be willing to give a year to some of these essay, these wonderful people that have written their ideas, and they have great ideas for downtown. And I'm thinking, even if we could get, 3 or 4 of these ideas downtown, it would really, like I say, sincerely give the whole downtown area a new pizzazz and
that
make
is
things
totally exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is very exciting. Yeah.
So, and you mentioned earlier that you started when you were 15. When did you purchase the store in Richmond? You said 35 years ago, but you have more than one store.
Well, I started the store in Richmond 35 years ago. As far as when I purchased the building, it was in a trust fund, and there was kind of some things going on with the family. So I think that was probably a good 5 or so years after I had started the store. So that's how long I've actually owned that building. Then I started the Dayton Town and Country store 34 years ago, and that was in September. 34 years ago. And then I have the Indianapolis store, which is at 56th in Illinois, which is 12 years old, soon to be 13 in January. And then the Ave Maria, Florida store, which will be 8 years old in this coming January. So there's a lot, I've got a lot of irons in the fire, but I've got a phenomenal staff. I've always been blessed with great people, and I always said that if anybody gets involved with me, they know it's going to be work.
Well, I've gotten a little involved with you, and I think I just spend money. I don't know how much work I do.
We sincerely appreciate every customer, because we couldn't do it without the customers. And I think the thing that I feel the most strongly about is service. And I just thank the community for allowing me to serve them with my staff. I mean, that really is what we love to do. It's all about serving the customer, because you can buy clothes anywhere, but we hope that we fulfill a need and hopefully fulfill something that makes it more fun to shop.
Yes, you do.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for joining me today and sharing all this information and building the excitement and having all these neat things happen in our community. Thank you again for joining me today.
Oh, sincerely, thank you. It's been a joy.
And thank you for watching Chamber Chat.